In our modern society, the use of word magic is extensive, and it touches our lives every single day, as I'm sure all of you guys would understand. Of course, the use of laws and language are taken for granted. These are magical operations, although most people don't recognize it as such. They certainly are. They're not seen as magical, and yet words, laws, and language certainly hold a transformational power. Whether or not this is recognized or understood fully varies only in degree. Okay, some of us understand this. You, the seeker who's watching this, presumably you understand this. Folks that are not interested in this kind of information, they may not see it that way, but it doesn't change the fact that it is a magical operation, just like our entire reality is. Our entire existence is this strange magical operation, right? Don't forget that the judge is a magistrate, right? This is where, of course, we get the term, as I've covered in previous sections, the word Magi, right? The word magistrate's coming from Magi, right? The politician often holds a law degree, okay, another word magician, and that even the police officer has extensive training in specific types of criminal psychology. Okay, the police officer also uses a decent amount of word magic to do his or her job. The levels and specific intent to which word magic is used in government can vary greatly. Okay, this isn't to say that everything government does is evil, and nor is everything they do good, quite obviously, right? Remember, some of these people in government are sorcerers. Some are magicians, but many are normals, okay? Unfortunately, many normals, and a normal is someone who hasn't started on the path yet, okay? Either the path of the sorcerer or the path of the magician. They haven't gone, either way. Unfortunately, many normals unwittingly follow the commands of sorcerers, right? That's the problem, or that's the scary thing with normals, is they can easily be persuaded by sorcerers. Okay. So interactions with the police can be especially nerve-wracking. I'm going to use this as an example because I don't know about you, but if you've ever been pulled over or even approached by police and they want to ask you questions, it's kind of nerve-wracking, even if you're completely innocent, right? So police interactions are purposefully designed to make you feel extremely uncomfortable, okay? So it's not just you, it's everybody. So why is this? It's because an uncomfortable person will reveal much more about themselves with verbal and nonverbal cues, which police are trained to listen to and look for, okay? I'm going to say that again. The reason why a police encounter is designed to make you, it's purposefully designed to make you feel uncomfortable, is because you're going to reveal much more about yourself, okay? Whether it's verbal or nonverbal. Most of it's going to be nonverbal. They're trained to watch you and watch where you put your hands, where you look, how you stand, everything, right? So imagine yourself in this scenario. You're pulled over by the police late at night. You're driving home, maybe from a night out, hanging out with friends, right? The traffic cop pulls you over and he asks you this question. He asks you, do you know why I pulled you over? Right? Or he'll ask it a different way. He'll say, you know why I pulled you over, right? Right? So this question in philosophy is known as the complex question fallacy, Because the question implies the following. One, there is some legitimate reason you were pulled over, right? And two, you have done something wrong and the cop knows it, but do you know, right? So if you respond, so if the cop asks you, you know why I pulled you over, right? By responding no to this question, this infers that you are merely ignorant of your wrongdoing, which prompts an explanation of what you presumably did wrong by the officer, right? You know I pulled you over, right? And you say, no. Well, you were da-da-da-da-da, right? Either way, you did something wrong and it's your fault. All of this is bundled into that question. It's meant to throw you off, meant to make you feel like, did I do something wrong? Like, what? It's meant to, because once you're in that state, then you're going to give yourself away a little easier if you're on the spot, if you're agitated, right? Versus if you're just cool, calm, and collected, right? There's a lot of things happening here with a traffic stop. You've got these red and blue lights flashing. That's designed to throw you off balance. You know, taking red and blue together and just flashing them, right? This is by design to make you nervous, okay? So this kind of questioning, of course, flies in the face of innocent until proven guilty, right? But this is what they do. This is how they've designed police encounters, right? Now, this assumes guilt. This kind of approach assumes guilt and invites you to answer the officer's question, thereby admitting your wrongdoing and making his or her job much easier, right? Because if you say no when they ask you, do you know why I pulled you over? You know why I pulled you over, right? And you say no, right? Then maybe they're just inferring, well, you don't know, let me explain. But if you say yes, I know why, then you've incriminated yourself unnecessarily, right? Before I get into this part, I just wanted to point out this image is so preposterous. This young man, I think that's his girlfriend on the right, but this young man, he's on the left side of that car talking to the officer. He's been pulled over because it looks like he, obviously look at his car. It looks like he ran over somebody or something. Those are actually stickers. It's some sort of vinyl wrap or something, or stickers that he put on his car to make it look cool. I just thought that was hilarious. It's like, I'm thinking you probably, if you want to give police an excuse to pull you over, I guess you probably want to do that. But that's actually a really cool, really good job of, like, that's a really amazingly realistic looking blood splatter. But it's a sticker. It's like a piece of vinyl or something like that. So when a cop asks you, let's say that you've been pulled over, they ask you, well, you know why I pulled you over, right? And then you get out of the car, you're talking to them. Then one of the next questions is, do you have any weapons in the car? And responding no is almost always a lie, right? Why? It's because the legal definition of the word weapon is anything which is designed or could potentially be used to cause harm, including something like your own teeth. Anything that could be used as a weapon is a weapon by definition, right? If you reach in your back seat, pull out your big old thick chemistry book from college and whap the cop over the head with it, you've got a weapon in the car, right? These questions are designed to give the advantage to the police officer, right? And also to protect them, right? There's a dual meaning here. There's It's for their safety, but it's also to make their jobs easier in getting convictions as well. Okay. Now, I'm not saying police exist merely to entrap you and to extract money, although a lot of times it does seem that way. What I am saying is that the police have refined their tactics in order to make their job much easier and effective. Every profession must do this in order to thrive as an industry. You want to make your job easier and more effective, more efficient, right? So the police are no different. It's like any other profession. Okay. Here's another question that they'll ask. You don't mind if I take a quick look in your car, do you? This complex question preys upon the general agreeable nature of people, right? We want to generally be agreeable. At least I'm a generally agreeable person. When someone says, you don't mind if I blank, I say, sure, no problem. That's kind of my default response. I know that there's other people that are a little more crabby but even those people wouldn't tell a police officer to just fuck off, right? So this kind of questioning, this structure of the question, you don't mind if I take a quick look, do you? Right? It's designed to prey upon the general agreeable nature of people. So answering no to this question actually means yes. You don't mind if I take a look. If you say no, that means I don't mind. And you've given consent, right? And answering yes infers consent as well, right? Think about that question. You don't mind if I take a look in your car, do you? No. Does that mean no, I can't look? Or does that mean no, you don't mind? Right? And of course, if you say yes, you don't mind if I take a quick look in your car, do you? Yes. Yes is like saying, yes, you can, right? Or are you saying, yes, you mind, right? You have to be, in your response, you have to be more explicit, right? You have to say something like, I do not consent to searches. Not just no or yes, right? So the ambiguity of language, and this is, by the way, this is all word magic. And, you know, if you're pulled over by a veteran of the police force who's been on the beat for like 20 years, 30 years, they know all the tricks in the book. They see it day in and day out. And if you think you're gonna pull one over on one of these guys, you're in for a rough night, because they know more tricks. They've seen it all. They know it all, right? So be careful with your interactions with police officers. Be respectful. Be polite to begin with. So the ambiguity of language is intentionally used by law enforcement to leave them an opening to create suspicion right out of thin air. In fact, they are trained to phrase questions in a very specific way in order to gain the advantage and potentially lead you into incriminating yourself, including creating that feeling, that uncomfortable feeling that you may have done something wrong right from the beginning. That's all by design. So you have to ask a question, of course. How does one effectively defend against this form of word magic? Because you're already on the defensive. You're already nervous. You're already worried. You're already thinking. You may be the most innocent person on the planet, but you already may be thinking, God, what did I do wrong? And you're going through this mental Rolodex of mistakes you might have made, right? You can't drive down the street. You can't drive a mile without breaking a traffic law, maybe 2, 3, or 4 traffic laws. You went over a line. You didn't stop before you made the right turn. You lane changed and you didn't signal, or maybe, there's so many different small little legalities. There's so many laws you are probably breaking. if you make a right-hand turn from the middle lane, that's actually illegal in a lot of states. There's all kinds of little rules that you could break, right? And not that you've caused any harm to anyone, but the point is they put you in a state with the traffic stop. It's designed to put you in a state of, okay, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Oh man, I might have gone past that stop sign. I might have not stopped at that stop sign back there, but that's all by design. It's getting you to incriminate yourself, right? Because the police want their job to be easier, not harder. Nobody wants their job to be more difficult. And the police design their job to be as easy as possible, just like everybody else. So it is best that you don't get fooled into using word magic against yourself. Okay? Because the police are masters at they hand you the rope and you hang yourself with it, kind of thing. Right? Not to say that you've done anything wrong, but you shouldn't just openly give yourself away, right? You need to have some awareness of the word magic that's being used against you, or word sorcery that could be used against you. And it all comes down to language. And traffic stop really all does come down to what kind of language you choose to use, because they're coming at you with some pretty powerful word magic. How are you going to respond? What are you going to do to protect yourself, right? The best thing you can do to protect yourself against this form of word magic is by not talking to the police at all. Okay? By not talking to the police ever, if you're 100% innocent, you don't give them a chance to use your words against you, right? Now, there's a great video on YouTube you should check out. It's called Why You Should Never Talk to the Police. And it's a lecture given by Regent Law School professor and ex-prosecuting attorney James J. Duane. Look this up on YouTube. It's gold. He makes this very, very interesting point. He says, even if you are innocent, or your client, even if you are innocent and you deny your guilt and you mostly tell the truth, you can easily get carried away and tell some little lie or make just a small mistake that will cause you to be in a whole world of trouble, right? Even if you're innocent, if you make one little factual mistake, if your memory isn't 100% perfect, and you talk to the police and you make one little mistake and they go back and they check the facts, right? Then you're done, right? There are a lot of people in prison, and a lot of innocent people in prison, and the only reason they're in prison is because they talk to the police, okay? So if your story isn't perfectly accurate in every possible detail, it could be used against you, right? Now this, of course, is far and beyond from the typical traffic stop. You were speeding, I saw you go through a stop sign, that kind of thing, right? But this is, as a general rule, you want to talk to the police as little as possible, or really not at all right? Because if you're in an interview situation, given enough time to talk, you are bound to make a mistake sooner or later. I make mistakes all the time on my YouTube, right? Mispronounce words. Sometimes I don't have my facts straight. We all make mistakes, right? And so in a police interview, you have to be perfect for the entire time. And if you make one mistake, that could show that you were lying, and that could lead to so many people have been convicted just by talking. So little mistakes, even honest ones, and that's most of the mistakes that people make when talking to the police are just honest mistakes. Those mistakes have sent many innocent people to prison. Agreeing to talk to the police is generally a bad idea. Now, the best defense against getting entangled in a conversation with the police is to say nothing or next to nothing. You can also tell the police, I don't answer questions, right? I'll give you everything you need, but I'm not going to answer any questions respectfully, right? After all, it is your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. It's also a good idea to try and remain calm and be polite. Just the fact that you know that a police encounter is designed to throw you off your game, to get you out of your calm state that you're typically in, having that awareness gives you at least some way to prepare for the interaction, okay? One other thing you could do is carry a spell with you. Yeah, that's right. You could carry a spell. Just make sure the spell that you carry in your vehicle is written in the vernacular most readily understood by officers of the law. However, they just may look at you sideways or possibly interpret your spell that you hand them as a threat. So be careful. Now, I've got a written statement for traffic stops that I have in my vehicle, okay, that I can give to police. I give them license, registration, everything they need. Officer, yes, I'll get everything for you. And I have nothing. I'm not going to answer any questions respectfully. I don't have anything to say. When I want to give you this statement, and you can give them, it's essentially a spell, right? Now, I will include this traffic stop written statement in this episode notes, okay, so that you can print that out. Now, I want to warn you, though, this information I'm offering is for educational purposes only. This does not constitute legal advice, okay? I'm not a bar-certified attorney. How you choose to handle interactions with police is entirely up to you. I'm just giving you an alternative of what I do. Doesn't mean you have to do it, and you free me of all liability should you write some crazy statement and get yourself in trouble and then try to pin it on me. Not my problem. The entire point of this presentation, or of part 10 at least, is not to say that every police officer you encounter is evil. I don't believe that to be true, obviously. I've met some wonderful police officers, very nice people, and they're really trying to do good in the world, right? But rather, what I'm saying is you must be very careful what you say to them, okay? Words have transformative power, and they can change your life in an instant, right? After all, it's not the police officer who has to go to prison for your mistakes. It's you. The police officer doesn't bear the burden, doesn't feel the impact of your innocent little mistake, right? So they could put you in jail even though you're innocent, right? Their best interest is getting convictions, getting criminals off the street. And if you make some error, and even if you plead with them and tell them I'm innocent, okay, good luck with that. Let's see how that works out for you. Their job is to put people in jail, right? So that is the end of part 10. So if you're interested in the written statement, it will be in the show notes. Next week, we will move on to part 11.